Hi, everyone. I'm Drea Sobieski. Welcome to our Micro is the New Macro panel. While micro-influencers might have fewer followers than macro-influencers, they have serious staying power and are giving macro-influencers a serious run for their money. As thought leaders in their respective niches, micro-influencers, like the speakers we have with us today, are hyper-specialized and attract highly engaged audiences with relatable and authentic content, which then draws attention and dollars from brands who want to reach out to those audiences. To talk about finding your specialty, turning your social media channels into revenue streams without losing your followers' hard-earned trust, and so much more, I'm thrilled to be joined by Corporate Natalie, Vanita Aspen, Chelsea Joseph, and Wanda Molzak. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And before we get into the conversation, I'd love for each of you to just give us a quick 30-second elevator pitch. Share your name, your title, and what you do. So we'll start with my screen with you, Vanita.
Okay, hi, my name is Vanita Aspen. I am a full-time influencer and I'm based in Charleston, South Carolina. And I create content all day, every day.
Hey everybody, I'm Wanda Molzak. I am a twin mom based out of Dallas, Texas. I'm a content creator and a newly founder of K & Kai, which is a online children and baby wear label. We just launched this week, so super excited to be here.
Hi everyone, I'm Corporate Natalie, or that's what I go by on TikTok and Instagram. I kind of reside in this weird limbo of actually having a corporate job and then sometimes calling myself an influencer to feel a bit cooler than I am. But for this panel, I'll say my title is influencer. I posted my first TikTok October of 2020, so I'm very new to the scene, but I've grown pretty quickly on both Instagram and TikTok. And so it's an honor to be included on this panel. I'm excited to dive in.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chelsea Joseph. I'm one half of NYCX Clothes, which is the fashion and lifestyle account I run with my sister on Instagram. I'm also a newly launched founder. My sister and I launched our creative agency, NYCX Studio, a couple months ago to help brands with social media and influencer marketing. So I'm super passionate about these topics and I can't wait to dive into them in this panel.
Well, likewise. So thank you again, all of you, for joining us. I'm so excited to have you all here, and let's get into it. So Natalie, first question is for you. As mentioned, we're huge fans of yours here at Create and Cultivate. So thanks for being with us. Let's start here. Micro-influencers are often hyper-specialized, and you, or at least your online persona, you're a great example of that. Can you speak to why finding your niche is so crucial to attracting a highly engaged audience and how you kind of identify yours?
Yes. So I think niche is the perfect word to describe Corporate Natalie. I think my online persona is a bit different because I didn't really set out to, find this niche and become, an influencer. I think mustering up the courage to post my first TikTok really showed me that people enjoy this content and like seeing kind of this work from home, corporate America related content on different platforms. And I think, and we might get into sort of the algorithm later in this panel, but I think the dreaded TikTok algorithm is the true enforcer of the niche, because if I don't post something like hashtag corporate America, whatever, it's not getting pushed out. So it's kind of self-incentive to continue to push to this audience and this group of engaged individuals. And I think for me, I more generally, when I joined TikTok, I wasn't seeing like people like myself just living this kind of boring work from home life. So I thought, why not exploit it in a comedic way? And now there's a lot of awesome creators jumping on as well to the work from home train. So it's exciting to have an audience it really relates heavily to the content and really enjoys what I'm putting out there.
And working from home can be fun too.
Exactly.
Made it fun in a really innovative and creative way, and we love that. Next question for you, Vanita. You engage with your audience across multiple platforms, from Instagram to your website. In your words, you're creating content all day, every day. So I'd love for you to just talk us through your content strategy a little bit. How does your content change depending on the platform that you're creating it for? And are you constantly having to like iterate that, as like the industry and the standards change, or kind of what is your process like?
I base a lot of the content that I'm creating based off of time. So say for Instagram, I can put a video up that's a minute and like 15 seconds, but on like Reels, I had to keep it at the 30-second mark. So I keep the content the same, but I just kind of block it out of how I'm going to push it out time-wise. So like Reels is going to be shorter, Instagram TV is going to be the full-fledged video. For the blog, I can write out all of my thoughts, but for the Instagram caption, I just write enough to grab your attention, and then I have you. So it's like, if you want the full story, you always go to the blog. If you just want a little snippet, you don't have that much time, you go to Reels. If you have a little more time than most, you go to Instagram TV. And if you're just scrolling for 15 seconds, you go to my Instagram. That's kind of how I like break it down.
No, that's super helpful. So it's like the same content, but kind of offered in different, in different formats.
Yeah.
Amazing. So then next question for you, Chelsea. Building an engaged online community requires consistency. After all, people are following you because they want to hear from you, and they have a certain expectation of what and when they're going to hear from you. So how did you kind of develop that consistent posting schedule, and what are some of the tools that you use to help you stick with it?
Yeah, I am honestly still training myself to be more consistent, because there are days when I go without posting, if I'm being honest. But especially since I started working full time, my sister and I have developed a system where we check in every week or a day, actually. We text all the time, and we talk about what content is going out, especially when we have branded posts. We need to have these slotted and on a calendar, so we can't make any mistakes with those. Like, we know they're going out, and so we have to figure out what content is going in between. So we use tools like Planoly to really visualize a feed and see how it looks together, and if we're missing any content that we can add in between. So we try to strike that balance of branded content and also spontaneous content. We know the general themes. So we talked a lot about fashion, lifestyle, home decor. So we know those themes, and those can serve as lifestyle oriented content, or like filler content, as you can call it. But most of the time we try to be spontaneous while still meeting our brand goals.
That's interesting, yeah, because it's a balance of planning, but not being too structured, and leaving room for kind of like room to play and room for the unexpected, or if dates shift and whatnot. I think there's that flexibility built into your system. And next, you, Wanda. It's one thing to build a community. It's another to build an engaged community. As someone who has thousands of followers, how do you keep everyone engaged and active? How do you ensure that everyone feels seen and heard? What advice can you share for other content creators on really connecting with their audience?
That is a great question. So I once heard somebody say, I wish I could quote them, but they said that a great influencer or great content creators are just telling a story in a million different ways, So it's like, for me specifically, just a little bit of history. So my husband and I went through IVF, and so we conceived our twins through that. But initially, I actually started as just like a natural hair influencer. But I just felt like, during that time, I was going through so much, and I wanted to just share everything. I'm not really like niche down as much as I want to be, but it's because I just wanted to just, meet everybody where they were at, and just kind of share my life, and share things that were kind of shameful to me, to help to basically, motivate and show people, even more than beauty, more than hair, like, hey, there's someone else out here just like you. So I feel like the way that I keep my audience engaged is just by walking them through my life, certain things that I want to share, that I want to help people, that I want them to, be able to feel like they have someone walking through life with them. I just share. So I'm always on my stories. I'm sharing updates. How are the boys doing today? Here's what they're eating for breakfast, and so I just really share little things, that I think, sometimes like maybe this is boring to them. They love it. They find interest in it. They just want to feel like I'm their, virtual bestie. So that's what I really have found is good. We also watch Married at First Sight together every week. So I'll like put little, post it there and we'll talk about it. I don't know if you guys are watching it yet, but everybody hates Chris. So we're like all talking about it 24/7. So we really just bond over like everyday life things. Of course, being in our homes, it's like we're not going to talk about hair all the time. We're not going to talk about face stuff all the time. So we talk about everything over on my page. And I found that keeps them engaged because it keeps me relatable as well. I don't seem as untouchable as, it can be from being on the internet and not knowing people. So.
Yeah. And I love that you kind of touched on something indirectly, but that thing is authenticity. And I think that's something all of you have, and kind of why you're here and why you're successful. But, it's about being who you are and owning it. And, even you, Natalie, taking your job that, traditionally people would think is boring and owning it and being like, this is it. It's fun.
I was just going to say some of the most like mundane or things that I just don't think even are that funny that just everyone does on a daily basis. Like you were saying, Wanda, kind of just people love that. Like they just love to see normalcy in those moments. So I totally agree.
Yeah. I think people want to see people like them, and feel connected. And I think
I love what Wanda said. I try to make it a point to reply to every single comment because I think the more time you spend with your followers and you feel like they can come to you for anything, they can come for advice, or you can just talk about, a show that you're watching. I've been watching Succession, which everyone is like I'm super late on that train, but everyone has been like telling me how it is. So it's fun to just like relate to people and make you feel like you're approachable. You're not just this person that they're looking at like you're some art in a museum.
Right.
I think it's good advice for anyone who's trying to grow their own channel. Just be yourself. It's easier in a sense and harder. But on that note, let's talk a little bit about challenges. So this question is for all of you, and we'll popcorn it from one person to the next. But so all of your engaged followings have opened up doors for sponsored opportunities with a lot of big brands, and no doubt you have all learned a lot along the way. So how do you choose which brands that you want to partner with to monetize on your content without losing the audience's trust that we've just gained? So we'll start with we started with Benita last time, so we'll start with you, Chelsea.
I love this question because I think brand partnerships are one of the main ways that content creators make money online. And so if you don't build like your brand around the partners that you work with, like it's definitely something that your audience can catch on. Personally, for me, there are 3 top things that I look at. So one of them is the reputation and track record. I think in light of the social justice movement happening, it's important that a brand is aligned and shares my values. So I look out for any problematic behavior or any history of activism because it's important to me. And then the other thing is the product fit. So if I don't for one time a brand offered us coffee that would like promote weight loss. And I was just like, have you seen me? Like, have you seen my sister? We're literally, that's the last thing we're trying to do. So that was like an easy no. So it's really important for us that the product makes sense. Like if my audience suddenly sees me promoting coffee, I don't even drink coffee, like they would have to call me out and I would totally take it. And the third thing is of course the budget. Like everything is a conversation. And it's never set in stone, but we want everything to feel like the brand is working with you, and it's not all just asking for this like list of deliverables without any intention of like compensating properly for it.
I agree. It's a good answer. I think content creating, it's a lot of work. It's storytelling, to go back to what Wanda said, it's content creators are storytellers, and it's a lot of work to create that narrative and to do it in your own way. Does anyone else want to chime in on that question as well?
Yeah, I would. So I think that nowadays on Instagram or social, losing your followers' trust doesn't really, I shouldn't say it doesn't exist, but it's not as strong of an issue. Because like and not to downplay the print world, but like honestly, like you wouldn't lose trust in a magazine for putting an ad within the space. So like, why would you lose trust in an influencer who's doing the same thing? The only difference is now you can actually talk to the person putting the ad out there into the world instead of just seeing it on a flat sheet of paper.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's two pieces there. There's kind of the dual nature of the two-way communication of social makes it the opportunity to engage, and then just the awareness of the audience that advertising is how content creators monetize, and that transparency is what you're saying kind of helps make it a little, more trustworthy. Right. And Natalie, you were going to chime in.
I think there's a lot of positivity around like, get that bag, like go do that brand deal. Like at least with my followers, and I see it a lot on TikTok and Instagram and stuff, like it's very, people want you to be successful. I don't know, from what I've experienced. And I think I have a rule of thumb personally, when I do brand deals, if I look at the product, the website, whatever it is, and I cannot think of an on-brand comedic way I could integrate it into a work from home related corporate TikTok, I will not do it. So, and I've actually gotten comments on my TikToks, like, you're so good at ads. I didn't even realize this was an ad until the end, like whatever. And I think I pride my comedic value far higher than any amount of money that a brand can give me. So I'm not going to jeopardize like doing a super salesy, ad that's not funny that's just it's a priority for me to keep my brand intact. I think Chelsea was getting to that as well.
Yeah, I think actually you all made really good points here, because it's almost like the dual two sides of it, right? The audience understands the advertising and they support it because they know you're content creators, but you also have to do it authentically, which ties back to, our last conversation a little bit. Go ahead.
I agree with that in terms of authentically. Just because like I've noticed too, especially when like I'm working with a lot of brands, because I'm a mom influencer and a family lifestyle influencer, a lot of brands really fit because I literally use them every day, like, soap and laundry detergent and things like that, but it's like, I have to make sure that I naturally share what I use every day so that when I am being paid by a brand, they can remember, oh, she actually shared this organically like 3 weeks ago, so we trust her. So if I already organically use a product, I feel like it works with my brand because I've already shared, and I'm an oversharer anyway. So I work with a lot of brands that I have already shared, so it's kind of like it's good, and it kind of works well with me for my audience in terms of like them continuing to have trust in me. So
no, it's really, really helpful advice from all of you. Thank you. And then also, just I guess an extension of that is what makes this successful brand partnership. So what advice would you share to content creators who are trying to turn their social media channels into the revenue stream? They are authentic, but maybe they just don't know how to really form that partnership and get that bag, in Natalie's words, which I love.
I'll take this one. I really believe that you have to organically promote a brand before expecting a brand to pay you. Not every brand that you work with, you're going to have organically posted about, but the more the merrier. I feel like I was doing tutorials for hair products and makeup and beauty and all of that. I was already doing that before I ever got paid for it because it's something that I genuinely liked. And I feel like that's kind of relatable with a lot of the influencers on here today. It's like we genuinely like doing it. And so you have to make sure that it's something that's true to you, that you stay true to yourself, and that you don't just chase the bag 100%, because if you do, then it's like your audience will notice that. They'll see that you're not being authentic, that you're just basically kind of using them in a way. So just make sure that, you naturally like sharing things with people, and then everything else flows into that.
Good. That was a perfect synopsis of that balance, like how to find that sweet spot in the middle. Let's keep going because I think there's some really good stuff to dig into here. So Natalie, Instagram and TikTok, like all social media platforms, are ruled by one thing. We all know it. We all hate it. We love it. We hate it. We love it. The algorithm. As someone who's had so much success on both platforms organically, I'd love to just know, how do you decide when to follow your instincts and when to follow the trends in terms of creating new content?
Yes. Okay. This is an interesting question. I think I'll start by sort of voicing a little bit about my following. I'm pretty sure my Instagram following is almost entirely separate from my TikTok following, which has allowed me to grow on the platform. I post the same stuff on both accounts, but I think my Instagram following is millennials who are like too cool for TikTok and will just spend hours on reels all day and think that it's like, they're cooler than TikTok for some reason. But I think I've been able to grow. And then when I post like a TikTok trend on Instagram, it's received so well because they've never seen a TikTok trend. And so it's like very exciting and new. But I used to be very anti-trend, but now I think the funniest content on all platforms is like turning a trend upside down, like a Gen Z sort of dance trend that's like not inherently funny and then making it, putting a funny spin on it. I think is amazing. I think across all, not just corporate Natalie content, but all platforms, that's the funniest thing to do. So I always try to go with my instinct. I'll never do like a dance. I'll never do like, I'll never do that. That's just not me. So as long as I am confident in what I'm posting, I'll continue to do that. And I think people, like we keep saying, authenticity, people like that more. So that's what I'll post.
Really is the thesis of, I feel like, the through line of a lot of these questions. Yeah. But it's interesting that your audience is completely different on both platforms. Do you think it's like the age, or?
I don't know if it's completely different. And I don't know if any of you all on the panel have experiences as well, but my Instagram following just isn't directly correlated to my TikTok. And I think that they just follow, that's their sole platform that they follow me on. And this is a hypothesis. So you could just take this out if this is completely like not grounded in fact, but I post the exact same things. Like I don't really post pictures. I just post the videos across both platforms. So you have no reason to follow me on both accounts. I mean, that would just be exhausting seeing all that content. But I think when I post a TikTok trend on Instagram, it's like really exciting because they don't realize it's a trend that millions of people have done. So it's kind of new and exciting for reals.
Like, I relate to this so much because I'm like the Instagram generation, I guess. And so TikTok for me is like this new, scary, cool, funny thing. But no, that's interesting. Yeah. So Vanita, question for you. As you know, creating content is very time consuming. You need to ideate, plan, execute, also, posting and the engagement. It's a lot of work. So how do you make the most of your time doing it? What tools or resources do you rely on, from, the content creation process to the planning and publishing?
Okay, so I'm trying to think. There is a website, I think it's called Studio Binder. Studio Binder, I really like to use, especially when it comes to planning photo shoots. Besides being an influencer, which is something that I didn't say earlier, I own a production company that's small scale. And that is something that we use in the production company to make sure that the client can see when we start, what we're going to shoot during these times, what we're using, the inspo all in one spot. So Studio Binder, I mean, you can use it as an influencer or as an individual who's just creating beautiful imagery. You don't necessarily have to have a whole production company to use it. Using that is key because some days I feel like I have to shoot 3 large scale like content pieces at once. And that means your day literally starts at 6 a.m. and it ends whenever the sun goes down. If you shoot until you get the last bit of light. So Studio Binder is really, really great. Besides that, I utilize Pinterest a lot. I also utilize Canva to create the mood board. And when starting the content creation process, I always start with colors. I can't think of a concept or anything unless I have a color scheme. And then that's how we kind of get the ball rolling.
I love hearing from different creatives on kind of how they start their creative process. Like color, it's so specific to you and to your preferences. So next question, Chelsea. As you grow your community and reach a wider audience, you become subject to scrutiny by virtual strangers. So I'd love to just know how you handle negativity in the comments. How do you know when to take constructive criticism to heart, and when to tune it out?
So I have learned over time to just tune it out. To be honest, I don't tolerate any kind of negativity, and my sister and I, we just don't tend to entertain it or gravitate towards it. Of course, like negativity isn't necessarily constructive criticism. Like I try to make the distinction between the two. Like negativity would be, oh, this is ugly on you, like stop, don't even do it, for example. And versus like, I don't know, constructive could be maybe try to do this with that, or hey, like, did you know this brand has a more sustainable, like, we could tell, and I'm sure you all can relate, like, a constructive comment when you see it versus one that's just like a troll. So trolls literally don't have any space in my platform. Like, I think of it as, my house. Like, I curate like the guests that I let in, the people I have conversations with. And so I try to keep a good amount of distance between these two, but occasionally you get the person who like says it in a non-constructive way, and you just have to either engage or you can choose to kind of tune it out completely.
I love that analogy of like inviting guests into your house, because I think now more than ever it is like that. We realize we're in control of who we let in. It's a two-way, the door opens both ways in a sense. Like, if we open it to let them in, we can also tune them out. Mm-hmm. So Wanda, question for you. You're very open with your community. You don't shy away from sharing anything intimate and, all the details of your personal life. So how has your authenticity helped you grow your community? And how do you decide what to share and what to keep private?
So I feel like for me, one of the reasons I was motivated to share my life with the internet, beyond just like my day-to-day beauty routine, was because I didn't see someone that looked like me. And that's kind of been my thing, like, I didn't see people with curly hair. So let me help someone who may not know how to even comb their hair and keep it moisturized throughout the day. And then it ventured out into infertility. And now it's, venturing into so much more. But my reasoning kind of outweighs the negativity or anything that could come negative, because I get so many DMs from people and women that are always saying like, thank you for sharing that. Like, when I was pregnant, I had 2 twin boys in my stomach, and I had stretch marks, and I was scrambling, looking for inspo. I was on Pinterest. I was like Vanita. I was trying to make a mood board and all of these things for my maternity shoot. And I did not see that online, So for me, I had to become what I wanted to see. And I feel like that's what kind of motivates me to share my personal life. But I only share it when I know that I'm strong enough to accept whatever criticism may come with sharing that. So that's kind of how I decipher. So if I'm very sensitive or I'm feeling, a way about my body today, then I'm not going to post the body positivity post today, because I know I'm going to get a negative comment, So, I'm mostly motivated when I share something. I've already thought it through. I've already thought about, okay, how is this going to be received? The worst case scenario, can I handle that? Am I mentally okay today to handle that? And so that's kind of how I decipher. But more than anything, the good outweighs the bad. And all of the DMs and the comments where it's women saying, hey, I feel seen. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you for being this place for me. And man, I was crying today. I was looking in the mirror and I just didn't like my mom bod. So thank you so much. So that motivates me to keep sharing.
And that's beautiful. That's so profound. I think there's 2 points I want to just highlight from that, even, is one, body positivity and seeing people who are like us and, we all can relate to, instead of necessarily what we're fed through the media, which is authenticity again. And then the other thing I think is just like the self-awareness to know, like, am I putting this out there because I want something back, or is it just because I want to help, and being really self-aware and protecting your own energy essentially with what you put out there, which I think is awesome. So let's on that note, keep moving on to more advice. So this question anyone can answer. As they say, you have to spend money to make money. Where should content creators focus their financial energy? Should they invest in marketing or ads to widen their reach? Should they invest in equipment to improve their content quality? What about reporting tools or resources? What are each of your thoughts?
Okay, so I think that with all of that information, the first thing you need to do is sit down and weigh out your strong suits and your weaknesses. Put your money into your weaknesses is like the first thing you should do. And besides that, I think that investment in photography is the most important. It doesn't matter if you have a $3 fake arrangement from wherever. If you have good photography, it's going to look phenomenal, whether it costs $3 or like $300, And as far as marketing and ads, I saw a lot of blog traffic increase when I did Pinterest ads. And I hope I'm not misquoting, but I think Pinterest is still the #1 social media platform when it comes to return on investment. So like putting a little bit of money, like, I mean, I was doing like the bare minimum, like $12 like a week on Pinterest. And I saw my numbers jump from like 500 to 600 unique viewers to then going up into the 3,000 to 5,000 unique viewer range, because they can type in top 5 foundations for women of color. I would pop up first because I paid for an ad. And then it was like creating this traffic to my website, which then created traffic to my Instagram. And like, it just kind of trickles down. And as far as equipment, I'm not the best with equipment. I know that that's not my strong suit. So like I pay a photographer to do that. And then I just get the photos when it's done.
Invest in your weakness, like you said.
Invest in your weakness. Yeah.
I like that. I like that quote. Anyone else? Where should content creators focus their finances?
Yeah, I think at the beginning, you wear all the hats, and you're a creative director, you're your photographer, you're your own publicist. But then the more you go, like Vanita said, it's important to know what are your strong suits and like who to delegate to. So some people are lucky enough that they can hire an assistant, that they can hire like interns who can really get the ball rolling and make things happen. And so definitely pay attention to that. And I think as far as equipment goes, personally, like sometimes like with IGTV or with Reels, like you can feel like the most produced DSLR content is the one that's going to perform the best, but it's not necessarily true. I think that along with your equipment, like you just have to make sure that you have a compelling message and that people will want to hear it, because no amount of like great equipment like will make up if the content is not something that's resonating. So just pay attention to that and make sure to just like hone in on your message when it comes to it and the ways that you deliver it. And then the last thing I would say, as far as ads for Instagram, for my NYCX Studio page, for example, whenever an organic piece of content does really well, we sometimes test it with paid media. So we'll put $5 behind it for like 10 days straight. And it's just to see, we try to like target it. I am still sort of new to it, but I've seen some really good inquiries for the studio, for example, just from using posts that are already doing well. So I think the idea is if it's already doing well, more people can see it, versus if the reach is already not great or people are not engaging, like sometimes the money doesn't necessarily bring you the engagement that you want.
That's really good advice. It's really tactical. Take a content that you've already had, perform well, and make more people see it essentially through amplifying it through paid spend. So Natalie, it's safe to say that video content is trending on social media right now. I'd say it's an understatement. As a creator who's mastered the medium, what advice can you share on leveraging video to grow an engaged following? In terms of like editing or certain, styles, like what's worked for you and what hasn't, and kind of what steps do you take?
So first of all, I'm honored that you say I've mastered the medium. My creative process is so sparse and underdeveloped. I literally just put my phone on my laptop and film myself. So any tips that any of you have on this panel, please send my way, because I'm really working on building that out. But I think for the video content, I think at least on my personal Instagram, before I even started doing this, I was, afraid to post a video. It's so raw, it's so unedited, it's so real. You can't really like edit it. You can't put I don't know. It is what it is. And you are who you are. And it's my voice, it's my face, it's me doing this. It's right up on my face. Like, so I think, getting over the hurdle, at least when I posted my first TikTok of like, this could potentially go to, millions of people. And this is what I look like. And they're going to see that, kind of scared me, which is, embarrassing to say, but I think I've grown from then to just, I am who I am. I'm confident enough to put like my comedy out there to the world. And I think, especially as like a woman in comedy, that was a kind of hurdle to jump over in the beginning. But once I realized I wanted to do it, I just went for it. I think I have no tips on editing, like I said, but, we talked about trends earlier. If you don't have like a message or niche, like we talked about, that you're trying to get out there, like try to hop on a trend and post something and just, start from a lip sync on TikTok and see how it goes, just to get that muscle going and get comfortable being in front of a camera. And then from there, just take it how you want.
I have to say, Natalie, like I admire anyone who's brave enough to put their comedy out there, because it is something that oftentimes for me, like, I don't know how it's gonna go. And it takes a lot of confidence. So definitely with TikTok, it's personality driven. And it's still something that I think it's hard for a lot of people, including me, to just put yourself out there and to just say, hey, I'm having fun, and like whoever relates, relates.
There's a real realness to it. It's like Wanda was saying, you have to think, I'm going to put this out there. Am I going to be okay if it doesn't go the way as I plan? Or but I think it's having the confidence to try anyways. And honestly, the world is so much better for it now.
Yes. Like one of my videos, I posted a video yesterday and it like went viral. I wasn't expecting, I just kind of wanted to post something and I posted it and it went viral. I'm like, oh my, could I have just put mascara on? Maybe could I have just, I don't know, tried a little bit? That would have been nice.
I love you as you are.
It's true.
It's true. Benita, your success is proof that when you combine quality content with the right community, you can turn your creative passion into a profitable business. So what advice can you share for people who want that same success? What steps do they need to take?
So I guess my first piece of advice is don't step too far off the ladder that you forget where you came from. I owe 100% of my success and what I have and who I am to my city, because when I was 16 and kind of like starting out with the modeling, which is how I got into the Instagram influencer sector, people took a chance on me when I had no book, I had no portfolio, I had never taken a photo before, and like always remembering to go back to those people and like thanking them. And when they ask you to do things, like you have other sources of revenue. And like when small businesses ask you to do things, you do it in a way that works best for the both of you instead of telling them no, especially when they give you chances. I think that is really the key to, getting the success that I have, or even being more successful than I am, is not forgetting the people who helped you to get where you are today.
Genuine relationship building and really nourishing those contacts and, making it not a one and done deal, but, something that you carry with you into your success. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Next question is for Chelsea. The micro influencer industry is very saturated now, but you were one of the first kind of to be on that platform. How do you ensure your voice stands out in such a competitive market? And what advice do you have for people who are just starting now? What do they need to succeed, as a micro influencer today?
That I always think about, what I want to say, going back to what we said earlier. And I think Natalie echoed that, like, you have to know the message that you're putting out there. Like, I think niching down, especially at the beginning, can give people something to relate to, and they start to expect that kind of content from you. Like, they know work from home, funny, I'm in a meeting, I don't want to put my Zoom on, I'm going to go to Natalie because she probably has a video about that. Or for us, it's like, oh, what are the latest trends? We're always talking about that. Like, what are business trends that are happening in the influencer space? My sister and I are talking about that. Or the latest fashion, of course. So it's just like knowing exactly like the things that you're passionate about and that you want people to know you for, and to just double, triple, quadruple down on that. And so I think that the space is crowded. There are a lot more of us, but it doesn't mean that there isn't room for more. Like, there always is, because no two voices are the same, and there shouldn't be. And so figure out exactly what makes you unique. What is it that you want people to take away from your content? Like, do they feel uplifted? Do they feel entertained? Do they feel like they know something about a topic that they didn't know before? Are you highlighting New York City spots, for example? Like, that's a good one. Or doing local tourism. And so just figuring out the value and where that like value for the audience meets with your passions. And I think that's your winning formula.
There really is some introspection to this. It's like you have to know what you're good at, what like it feels natural for you, what you have access. It's a lot to think about. It really does take a lot of like self-awareness and confidence.
I have no idea.
Wanda, a question for you on that topic. You're always so self-assured on social, especially when you're addressing what some people, I guess, would consider taboo topics, honestly, like infertility and self-love, which, I mean, we can separate panel on whether or not those should be taboo. But, what advice do you have for people who are feeling that self-doubt and want to, summon the courage to speak openly with their community about some of those really tough topics?
That is a great question. And I want to highlight one thing you said there, which is my community. So I think it's very important for each influencer, each person to find their community. Like I know that I'm not for everybody. I'm not expecting for my message to be received by everybody. I'm not trying to reach corporate Natalie's audience because they're not here for me. I know that my community is for me. And I feel like the biggest barrier that I had to overcome as even a smaller influencer before I got to where I am was realizing that the people that I know from high school that still follow me on Instagram, I'm not trying to impress them. My family members, I'm not trying to impress them. So why am I worried about what they'll think about me? And once I kind of got those barriers out of my mind and I was like, I'm here for somebody. I'm called for somebody. I may not be for them. I'm not for everybody. And when you realize that, even having a niche or not having a niche, you have people that are going to come to you or that want what you have in you. And it's I can say the same thing that someone else has said, but it would still be different coming from me because it's me. So having that assurance that the right people will be there, that's really what can motivate anybody and can get you out of that because, I have a community, I'm looking for my community. I'm hashtagging, I'm doing all of these things so that my community finds my page. And when they find it, they're going to need it, and I'm not trying to impress someone who may not need what I have to say. I'm here for who I'm here for. And that just gives me confidence to really just walk in that, knowing that if only one person today needed this message, it's for them, So that helps me.
That's beautiful. And yeah, it's the two-way door again. It's, that what's meant, the people who are there because they want to be there. And so there shouldn't be self-doubt because they support you. They're there because they want to support you. So we're going to wrap with some rapid fire sentence finishers. So we'll go around. I'll call on you beforehand, but you just have to fill in the blank in the end of the sentence. So the first one is, when I'm creatively blocked, I, Chelsea.
Go biking with my sister.
Natalie.
Take a day off of social media.
Wanda.
I was going to say, take a break.
Vanita.
I go sit outside on the porch and soak in all the sun.
Those are great answers. My social media platform of choice right now is Vanita.
Blogs.
Instagram.
Natalie.
Instagram and newsletters.
Instagram, because it's more personal connection, I feel like, through stories and DMs and stuff.
A few people I follow for inspiration are, and name three. Natalie, we'll start with you.
Rod, it's at Rod on TikTok, at Justney Rod on Instagram. He does millennial anxiety, similar kind of work from home jokes, kind of been a mentor through this process and now kind of a friend. Great content. Tori Dunlap, her username is at her first 100K, attempting to equip women with investment skills and financial literacy. I think it's awesome, breaking down barriers to financial equity. We should all be investing and doing all this stuff that I think gets overshadowed. And then Chloe Feynman on SNL. I don't know if any of you watch SNL, just classy, confident, hilarious. I hope I'm on SNL one day, just who I aspire to be.
You will be. We're manifesting it.
Yes.
So a few people I follow for inspiration are Paula Rollis. Her Instagram is at Paula Rollis. She just is such an open person, kind of like you, Wanda, on social media, and just kind of lets people in, and I can really appreciate that. The Style Bungalow, because Palm Beach is where I want to live one day, and she just reminds me of that dream every single day when she posts. And I don't know who else. I had it, then I lost it. I guess I would say Lombard on Fifth. She does a really good job of mixing high-low fashions in a very colorful and inviting way, and I really love it.
Good Rex.
Yeah.
Chelsea or Wanda, one of you want to go?
My top three, I love following Cheesy Duru on Instagram or on YouTube. She's hilarious. She can talk about anything. It makes you feel like you're in her living room, having tea with her. She's really funny. My second would be Every Stylish Girl. Their reels are so funny and straight to the point. I love their sense of humor, and they're always dishing out advice for people interested in entering the media space. And then my last one I would say is Crystal Bick, only because her photos seem like they're taken from a movie set. Like she always like creates this like fantasy with fashion, and I always feel like I'm in a movie when I'm like reading her captions and seeing her content. So
Cool. And Wanda, your Rex?
I love a slice of pie. I think it's a slice o pie on Instagram, but she's a twin mom too. And I love what she shares. She's very fashionable, but she also shares like a lot of behind the scenes of twin stuff. So it's funny because her twins are a little older than mine. And then the other person I follow is Kristen Lemon. She does a lot of like reels content, and it's funny mom stuff too. So like really relatable to me. And then the last person is Mandy, at Mandy on Instagram. I love her page because she's very, very like motivating, positive. She like calls them her virtual BFFs. So I love her page. It's like a ray of sunshine.
Those are all such good recs. I can't wait to look everyone up after this. And so the last rapid fire question is, the best content is
Authentic.
Content that you enjoy creating.
Feels natural and isn't forced. If I film in more than 10 minutes, it's not working and I just abandon.
content that you'd go back to and feel proud that you put it out there.
They're all such good answers. What an insightful conversation. Thank you to all of you for sharing your wisdom with us today. And thank you to everyone who's joining us virtually and who tuned in for this incredible roundtable conversation. I hope that you enjoy the rest of our content camp programming. Trust me, you're going to want to keep a pen and notebook handy because there's so much knowledge being dropped here. Thanks again, and we'll see you online for now.
Bye.
Thank you.